The letter arrived on a Tuesday. It came in a white envelope, Caldwell Properties, Legal Division, and it sat on the Carter family kitchen table for 4 days before James Carter opened it. Not because he didn't know what was inside, because he did. And James Carter is not going anywhere. James Carter is 58 years old. He has worked the same factory floor in Cleveland for 30 years. He has lived in the same house for 31. He has never, not once, missed a single rent payment. Last Tuesday, a man he has never met decided to take his home anyway. And what I need you to understand, before I tell you a single thing else, is this. James Carter is not going anywhere. The letter came in a white envelope. Return address. Caldwell Properties, Legal Division. It sat on the Carter family kitchen table for 4 days before James opened it. Not because he did not know what was inside, because he did. When he finally read it, he was alone in the kitchen at 6 in the morning. Gloria was already dressed for work. The children were still sleeping. The only light on was the one above the stove. Even the only sound was the candle on the counter, that small, steady breath of flame that Gloria had lit every single morning for 11 years. James read the letter twice, folded it, put it back in the envelope, put the envelope in his shirt pocket, walked to the window. Outside, a dark sedan was parked directly across the street. Engine off, nobody coming, nobody going. The same sedan that had been parked there Monday morning, and Sunday, and the Saturday before that. He heard the small footsteps before he saw her. Nia, 4 years old, Destiny's daughter, the youngest person in this house, appeared in the kitchen doorway in her pajamas, with a stuffed rabbit dragging on the floor behind her. She looked at her grandfather, then past him at the window. At the street. She said, "Grandpa, why does that man always park across the street?" James Carter had been asking himself that same question for 11 days. He still did not have an answer. He picked her up, held her against his chest, looked out at the empty street. The sedan pulled away slowly, no rush, like it had already seen what it came to see. Nia did not know what the letter was. She knew it was the same colour, white as the envelopes her preschool teacher sent home, when something had happened. She knew her grandfather's face was different after he read it. Not angry different. The other kind of different that she did not have a word for yet. She put this information in the part of her mind where she kept things that needed more time. Then she asked about the car, because the car had been bothering her for a week and a half, and nobody had explained it. The letter in his pocket says he has 90 days to leave. He has raised 3 children inside these walls. He buried his mother from this front door. He has stood at this window more times than he can count, and watched this street and this neighbourhood change around him, while he stayed exactly where he was. Because staying was not stubbornness. Staying was what a man does when he has built something real. 90 days. Gloria Carter wakes up every morning at 5:15. Not because her home health aid shift starts that early, because this house needs someone to be awake first, and that has always been her. The first thing she does, before the coffee, before anything else, is light the candle. It is a plain white candle in a glass jar, and it smells like her mother's house on Colfax Avenue in the Glenville neighbourhood where Gloria grew up. That house was torn down in 2003 for a development that sat empty for 6 years and then became a parking structure. Gloria has replaced the candle inside the jar many times over the years. The jar itself has never moved from the counter. Not once in 11 years. She does not think about why she lights it. She just lights it. Then she makes the coffee. Then the day begins. This particular Tuesday morning, by the time Gloria comes into the kitchen, her son Marcus is already at the table. Marcus Carter is 30 years old. He has a laptop open, a legal pad covered front and back in his own handwriting, and 3 empty coffee cups beside his elbow that were not there when Gloria went to bed last night. He has been up since before she went to sleep. When she walks in, he closes the laptop. Not quickly, just closed, the way you close something you are not ready to explain yet. She looks at him the way mothers look, through a thing, not at it. She says, "You eat anything?" He says, "I ate." She says, "That's not what I asked you." He opens the laptop. She sets a plate next to his elbow without another word, and goes back to the stove. He looks at the plate, then at the back of her head. He picks up the fork. Marcus has been researching Caldwell Properties for 3 weeks. Every property transfer in a 12-block radius going back to 1985. Chain of title, corporate filings, bankruptcy records. He has filled 2 legal pads and has not told his mother or father a single word of what he found. Because what he found is either the thing that saves this family or that pulls them into a legal fight they cannot afford to lose. He has not decided which one yet. The back door opens. Destiny comes through it the way she comes through every door in her life, already in the middle of the next thing. 26 years old. Work uniform already on. Nia balanced on her hip, even though Nia is getting to the age where being carried is less comfort and more statement. She sets Nia down at the table, kisses her mother on the side of the head. She starts to say something about money. She does not finish the sentence before Gloria already has $40 in her hand, held out without turning from the stove. Destiny takes it. Neither of them says a word about it. This is just what happens. This has always just been what happens. Destiny crouches down to Nia's level and says, "I'll be back by 7. You listen to Grandma." Nia says, "You always going to work?" Destiny stops, one hand still on the door. She looks at her daughter for a moment, the look of a woman who has something she wants to say, and nowhere near enough time to say it right. She says, "I know, baby." And she's gone. Nia goes back to her cereal without missing a beat. Gloria watches the door, turns back to the stove. Nia had counted. Her mother left for work before breakfast 12 times this month. She knew this, because she had been counting since October when she learned to count to 30. She did not know what the number meant exactly. She just knew it was a lot. She ate her cereal. The rabbit watched from the chair beside her. Outside the window, the man's car was gone now. She decided she would ask about it again later. Destiny Carter works the breakfast shift at a diner on Euclid Avenue and the evening shift at a call center on Carnegie. She has done this since Nia was 6 weeks old. The $40 from her mother will cover the bus fare to the diner, Nia's lunch, and the copay on the prescription that their insurance covers at 60%, not 70, 60. James comes to the table. The kitchen reorganizes itself around him without anyone deciding to. Chairs shifted slightly, voices a half-step quieter. Things passed before he asks for them. He has been the gravity in this house for 31 years. Not because he demands it, and because he showed up every single day And that is what happens when something solid stays in one place long enough. He sits. He looks at Marcus. Marcus looks back. There is something between them this morning that has no words around it yet. The particular look of two people who both know something and have agreed, without speaking, to wait until the right moment. Gloria sets the mail on the table in front of James. Face down. She does not look at him when she does it. James turns it over. Caldwell Properties. Legal Division. He already read it 2 hours ago at the window. He knows every word. He puts it in his shirt pocket. He says, "Pass the salt." Nia passes the salt. The family keeps eating. The candle burns. Outside, a Tuesday morning in Cleveland moves on the way Cleveland mornings do. Grey and purposeful and indifferent to whatever any single family is carrying. On the 14th floor of a building he owns on East 9th Street, Richard Caldwell is already at his desk, floor-to-ceiling windows. Cleveland spread out below him, Lake Erie on the horizon. He has had this view for 22 years, and he stopped seeing it somewhere around year 4. It is just the background now. He's 62 years old. He dresses carefully every morning and considers that a form of discipline. He drinks black coffee, reads the overnight property reports before his first meeting. He gives to 3 charities. He sits on the board of a downtown arts foundation. And he has a code of conduct printed and framed on his office wall. His assistant had it laminated after it got water damaged in 2019. He has not read it since. This morning his attorney slides a document across the conference table. Caldwell signs it without looking up. His left hand rests flat on the table while he signs with his right. There is a tremor in his index finger. Slight, barely visible, the kind of thing a man convinces himself he is imagining. His attorney glances at it for half a second and looks away. Caldwell says, without looking up, "Make sure they have it by end of business." He hands the document back. His attorney leaves. Caldwell pulls up the next file. The Carter address moves off his screen and out of his morning. He has 11 more items before noon. He does not think about the family living in that building. He does not picture them. To Richard Caldwell, the Carter address is a line item in a portfolio that has been underperforming his acquisition cost for 9 years. The math is the math. He is not cruel about it. He is simply not thinking about it at all. He is not a man who enjoys causing harm. He is a man who has learned not to look at it. Out at the Lakeside Industrial Plant on Nottingham Road, the factory floor sounds the way it has sounded every working day for 30 years. James Carter is at machine number 7. He has stood at this exact station for 22 years. The rhythm of this machine is inside him the way a heartbeat is. Present, constant, not something he thinks about. It is just part of how he breathes. Frank Dubois comes and stands beside him. 54 years old, floor foreman. A man who has liked James Carter for 20 years in the honest and bounded way that men like each other when they have worked side by side for 2 decades, without ever once having a conversation outside of these walls. Frank doesn't quite meet James's eyes when he stops. He says, "Management wants to see you after your shift." James nods, keeps working. Frank stands there a moment like a man who wants to say something more and cannot find the door to it. Then he walks away. James Carter does not miss a single beat on that machine for the rest of his shift. Every movement precise, every motion exactly as it has been for 22 years. If you did not know him, you would see nothing different. If you did know him, you would see it in the set of his jaw, and in the fact that he does not look up once during the last 2 hours. On the east side of town, Marcus Carter has been sitting on the steps of a legal aid office on Superior Avenue for 45 minutes. He is not checking his phone. He has his folder on his knees, and he is reading through it for the 4th time today. The same pages in the same order, looking for the thing he might have misread. He has not misread it. Diane Foster comes out, locking the door behind her. 34 years old. Work bag. Flat shoes. The particular walk of someone who has already given everything she had inside that building, and is now taking a quiet inventory of what is left. She sees Marcus on the steps and does not seem surprised. She says, "We're closed." He says, "I know." She says, "How long have you been out here?" He says, "Since 4:30. She looks at him the way you look at something you're deciding the value of. She says, "You're the 3rd Carter to find me." He says, "I'm the one who's going to make you take the case." A real silence between them. Then she tells him to come back tomorrow morning with everything he has. Every record. Every document. She walks to her car without looking back. Marcus watches her go. He opens the folder. Looks at the document on top. The one with the 1989 date and the company name. He closes it again. He needs to talk to his father tonight. Back at the Carter house, Tyler is on the front porch with his phone pressed to his ear. Voice low. Back to the door. One eye on the street. He is saying yes. Yes, he can do that. Yes, he understands. Yes. He hangs up, stands there a moment looking at nothing in particular, then goes inside. Gloria is in the kitchen. Tyler tells her he got a job. Data entry, flexible hours, decent money. She asks who it is for. He gives her a name. She looks at him the way she looks at all 3 of her children, not at the surface, but through it. She asks if he looked them up. He says, "Yes, Mum." She opens her arms. He steps into the hug. He is nearly a foot taller than her now, and she holds him the way she held him at 10 years old. He closes his eyes and lets her. The company Tyler named does not exist. The number he called belongs to a man named Deshaun Reeves. Good shirts, clean car, patient in the way that people are patient when they have already decided how something ends. And Deshaun has been watching Tyler Carter for 6 months. He has seen something in the way Tyler's mind moves through numbers that he wants to use. He is in no hurry. He can wait. The management meeting lasted 11 minutes. James Carter's position is being reclassified. Fewer hours, lower rate. Effective the 1st of next month. The man who delivered this news was 31 years old and kept his eyes on the papers in front of him for the entire 11 minutes. He did not look up once. Not when he explained the restructuring, not when he said effective next month, not when James thanked him and stood up to leave. James said thank you. He has replayed those 2 words 3 times on the 40-minute drive home and still cannot entirely explain why he said them. Whether it was habit, whether it was dignity, whether it was something else entirely that a 58-year-old man does when a 31-year-old man will not look at him and take something from him anyway. He walked back to machine number 7 and finished his shift. Every movement exactly as it has always been. He ate his lunch at the same table he has eaten at for 22 years. He clocked out at the same time he always clocks out. He drove home the same way he always drives home, down Nottingham to St. Clair, across to Superior, south on East 105th. 31 years he has driven this route. He knows every pothole. He knows which lights run long. Tonight he did not notice any of it. He comes home at 6:47. He does not change out of his work clothes. He sits down at the kitchen table. Gloria comes into the kitchen. She takes one look at him. Coat still on, hands flat on the table. The particular stillness of a man who has been holding something in for 40 minutes. And she does not ask a single question. She makes a plate, sets it in front of him, lights the candle. The morning one burned down hours ago. She has replaced it already. Same jar, same spot. She sits down across from him. The house is quiet around them. The candle burns. They sit. They have been sitting at this table through everything for 33 years. The deaths of both their parents. 3 layoffs before this one. A year when Marcus was 17 that neither of them talks about out loud. A February night in 2009 when the heat went out and they sat right here with every blanket in the house and played cards until 4 in the morning because there was nothing else to do. And somehow that night became one of the ones they remember best. Every time this city has thrown something at them, they are still here. Same table, same candle. Same 2 people who chose each other so many times it stopped feeling like a choice and started feeling like weather. Just the condition of being alive. James reaches into his shirt pocket. He puts the Caldwell Properties letter on the table between them. Face up this time. Gloria looks at it. She's known this letter was coming for weeks. She picks it up, opens it herself, reads it carefully and completely, the way she reads everything. Her face does not change, not even a little. That steadiness, that absolute refusal to let the thing show on her face, costs her in ways only James can see. She says, "How long?" Not a question, just the number. James tells her. 30 days to respond. 90 days to vacate. He stops on that word. He cannot finish it. She nods once, sets the letter down. She says, "All right." Nia comes in from the hallway. No announcement. Just appears. The way 4-year-olds appear. Suddenly present. Rabbit tucked under one arm, already climbing into James's lap before anyone has consented to it. He lifts her the rest of the way. She settles against his chest and closes her eyes. Nia knew something was wrong in the way she always knew things were wrong. Not from what people said, but from the way the kitchen felt. It felt like the air before a storm, except indoors. Her grandfather's chest was going up and down more slowly than usual. Her grandmother had her hands flat on the table. The piece of paper between them looked important in the way that pieces of paper sometimes looked important. She decided the best thing she could do was stay very still and hold on. So she did. James puts one hand on her back. He looks at the letter on the table. He looks at Gloria. Gloria reaches across and puts her hand over his. The candle burns. Nia sleeps. The letter sits on the table of the only home she's ever known. Outside, Cleveland does what Cleveland does in November. Gets dark early. Stays dark. Makes no promises about tomorrow. The Carters have been in this house for 31 years. They have paid rent every single month. Fixed things themselves when the landlord would not. Painted the walls twice. Replaced the kitchen faucet. Planted tomatoes in the small square of yard out back. That is legally Caldwell Properties dirt. 90 days. The back door opens without a knock. Roosevelt Washington has had a key to this house for 15 years. He comes in carrying a paper bag and announces that these are the last tomatoes of the season, and that his late wife, Ruth Ann, always said, "If you let the last tomatoes sit, you are throwing away the whole summer's work." He says Ruth Ann's name in the present tense, the way he always does. Like 41 years of marriage doesn't end. It just changes its address. He sets the bag on the counter, turns around. He reads the room in one sweep, the way a man reads a room when he has known its people for 40 years. He pulls out a chair, sits, picks up the Caldwell letter, reads it without a word, sets it down, picks up a tomato and turns it slowly in both hands. He says, "You know what Ruth Ann used to say about people who send letters instead of coming to your door?" James says, "What did she say?" Rosie says, "She said they're afraid of your face. Said any man who won't look you in the eye when he takes something from you already knows he's in the wrong. The letter is how he avoids seeing that in your face." James looks at the letter, then at Rosie, and something happens in James Carter's face that has not happened once today. Not at the factory, not at the management meeting, not at the window this morning. Not quite a smile. The territory just before 1. Close enough that Gloria notices from across the table, and something in her own face shifts in response. The way two instruments in the same room will move towards the same note without deciding to. Marcus comes through the front door with his folder. He spreads the property records across the kitchen table. Rosie moves his tomatoes without being asked. Marcus starts talking. He tells them what he found. The original property transfer on their building happened in 1989. The company that processed it, Sunrise Development Group, went into bankruptcy in 1991. And in the chain of title between that bankruptcy and Caldwell's current ownership, there is a gap, a real one, an actual break in the paperwork where the legal connection does not hold the way it should. If that gap means what Marcus thinks it means, Caldwell's claim on this building is not as clean and settled as Caldwell wants them to believe. Gloria says, "What does that mean for us in real terms?" Marcus says, "It means we have something to fight with. It means Diane Foster needs to see all of this tomorrow morning and tell us exactly what it's worth." For the first time since that letter arrived 4 days ago, the Carter family is leaning forward instead of back. Gloria and James and Rosie all looking at the records spread across the table and the candle burning between them, and something alive in the room that was not there an hour ago. Rosie leans back in his chair the way he does when something is working through him slowly. He mentions, almost to himself, that he has a box of old papers somewhere in his filing cabinet from around that same time period. Some property dispute a neighbour roped him into back in '89 that never went anywhere. He never threw it out. He says this the way a man makes a small observation about his own filing habits. Nobody at the table responds. Marcus is already back in his documents. The conversation moves on. Marcus finds the document he has been thinking about since Superior Avenue. He puts his finger on the date. He looks up at his father. He says, "The company that processed this transfer in '89. Dad, it's the same parent company that managed Grandpa's pension fund. When did Grandpa lose the pension?" The kitchen goes quiet. Not the comfortable quiet of a few minutes ago. A different kind entirely. Yet the kind that comes when something that has been submerged for a very long time finally breaks the surface, and everyone in the room can feel the water moving. James says, 87. Marcus closes the folder. He does not say another word. He does not need to. James Carter looks at his son across the kitchen table and the Caldwell letter between them and the candle, and his friend Rosie, who has set down his tomato and gone completely still. Whatever they thought this fight was about, a 90-day notice, a property dispute, a landlord who does the math and moves on, it just became something older. Something that was already happening the year James Carter's father went to work and never recovered what he was owed. Late night now. Marcus and Rosie have gone home. Tyler is upstairs. And Gloria has checked on Nia twice. The kitchen is dark except for the candle, the third one today in the same jar, down to its last hour of light. James is standing at the living room window. No lights on. The street outside is empty and still. He has the Caldwell letter in one hand. In the other hand, he is holding an envelope, small, old. The paper gone soft at the folds from years of being taken out and handled and put back without being opened. It lives behind his driver's license in the back of his wallet. He has carried it there for 19 years. He was 39 years old when someone handed him that envelope and told him what was inside. He put it in his wallet that same day and told himself he would know when the time was right to open it. 19 years later, he is still waiting to feel certain enough. He has never told his children about it. He has never explained it to Gloria, though she has seen it. She has never asked. Gloria appears in the doorway. She does not turn on a light. She stands there in the dark, and she sees the envelope in his hand, and her face tells you everything about how long she's been watching him carry it. James says, without turning around, "I should have done something a long time ago." Gloria crosses the room and stands beside him. Not behind him, beside him. Shoulder to shoulder. The way she has stood beside this man for 33 years. She looks out at the empty street with him. She says, "You still can." James holds the envelope for a long moment. Then he folds it back into his wallet, sets the Caldwell letter on the windowsill, puts his hand over Gloria's hand. The street is empty. There are two reflections in the dark glass of the window. The eviction notice on the sill, and somewhere behind them on the kitchen counter, the last flame of the candle pulls once in a draught from nowhere and goes out. The house goes dark. And then, from upstairs, in the quiet, Nia's voice. Small. The particular smallness of a child who is most of the way back to sleep, but has one question left that will not wait until morning. She says, "Grandpa, is that man coming back?" Silence. James Carter stands at the window of his home of 31 years, an unopened envelope in his wallet, a 90-day notice on the sill, his wife's hand in his hand, Cleveland in November holding its breath outside the glass. He does not answer Nia's question. The dark is complete.